Welcome to the Crawcast. I'm your host, George Krawczak, and these are my predictions for every single match of WrestleMania 41. Keep in mind, this is being filmed right after SmackDown, so we don't know a couple of these matches yet. This is a week out from WrestleMania. I'll make another video updating it if any more matches get added. And if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button like it owes you money. So the first match is Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. I think for the women's championship, I think Tiffany Stratton will win. This is an interesting one. I can kind of see this going either way because both these women's wrestlers are so good. And I think Charlotte as a heel champion would be really, really good. But the reason why I think Tiffany should win is because she is newer. It is still Tiffy time, and it feels like she has not had that great of a run just yet, and she needs to hold the belt a little bit longer. I know WWE wasn't too happy with their SmackDown segment, but I think that actually really elevated Tiffany Stratton because we saw it in a previous segment when they had the kind of the talking over the video screen. Charlotte went off script, and Tiffany was just totally unprepared. She didn't really know what to do, what to say, and all she had was her kind of pre-planned lines that she didn't know what to do. And then on the following week's SmackDown, she really fought back against Charlotte, and both of them really kind of went back and forth. And again, WWE didn't like them going off script, and I think that's totally understandable because as a company, you kind of want everyone to keep towards the script and keep your company vision in mind. But I think that showed Tiffany can hang with the best and be up there, and I think this will be a really great match, and I think Tiffany will win. The next match is Gunther versus Jey Uso, and I think Jey Uso will be the new World Heavyweight Champion. So when I see this match, I know a lot of people don't really like it, and it's understandable because Gunther had such a great IC title reign, and it feels like his World Heavyweight Championship reign has been kind of mid. And that's because it feels like they've fundamentally changed his character kind of all over the place, because he used to always be like the big monster. Kind of reminds me a bit of the initial Suplex City Brock Lesnar run, where it's like he's the ultimate final boss. And then they kind of made him look a little bit weaker and weaker, and then he felt like he needed Austin Theory and Grayson Waller to help him for whatever reason. And the main reason why I think Jey Uso is going to win is because I think this is a moment and not a match. So I think they want Jey Uso to eat with the title, the crowd going along with it, and everyone really having a good time. I think this will be just like when he won the Intercontinental Championship, where when he won it, everyone was saying, oh, that's so cool that Jey Uso won the Intercontinental Championship, but we don't really want to see a long reign with him, so he almost immediately lost it back to Braun Breaker. So I can see Jey Uso losing it on the next pay-per-view, and honestly, I can even see him maybe even losing it the next night on Raw. Like, if for the special Raw after WrestleMania, Gunther's like, I want my rematch, and Gunther immediately wins the title back. Because, like I said, I don't think many people are interested in a long Jey Uso reign. I think it's more just a crowd excitement and crowd reactions for when Jey Uso wins the title and starts eating and all that. Because, again, I don't think a lot of people see him as the main event World Heavyweight Championship guy. Again, he's popular, but not as a wrestler, but as kind of a personality, and I think that can almost only get you so far. The next match is Jade Cargill versus Naomi. I think Jade Cargill will win. It is interesting because Naomi has been doing some pretty good heel work, but I think they're going to set up Jade versus Bianca for the Women's Championship soon, if that's a little spoiler for my next prediction. So I think you need to have Jade Cargill win and look strong. It kind of made no sense that they ended her undefeated streak, and it felt like a little bit of a random SmackDown match. And I think Jade will win, and like I said, will just look strong. And it's unfortunate for Naomi that she's kind of going to be put in this position, but again, Naomi, I feel like WWE does not really see her as a main event player, whereas Jade Cargill, I think they see her as the future face of the women's division. So I think Jade will win. The next match is the War Raiders versus the New Day, and I think the New Day will win. I'm kind of surprised this match made it onto the WrestleMania card because Triple H absolutely hates tag teams, but it is interesting on this match because I say the New Day because it seems like they're going to try to finally capitalize on the New Day turning heel, even though, what was that, like 4 months ago they turned heel, and now they're finally trying to do something with them. I just don't get it why Triple H just hates tag team wrestling. It's exciting, it's good, and it is astonishing that this made it onto the main card, yet the Motor City Machine Guns, one of the greatest tag teams maybe ever, uh, is going to fight the Street Profits for the titles on SmackDown. Like, how come the Street Profits, or the New Day and the Street Profits, can't make it onto the main card? Or, sorry, the Motor City Machine Guns and the Street Profits. I think will probably happen if that match is I think it'll be a ladder match with DIY, maybe Pretty Deadly, and Miz and Mello, definitely. And maybe make it like either a 4-way or 5-way ladder match, but it's just very disappointing not seeing the Motor City Machine Guns on WrestleMania if they don't make it. So this match, again, it's Triple H just doesn't like tag teams. He doesn't like the tag team division. He doesn't build it up. It seems like he doesn't care. They hardly defend the belts on pay-per-view. Like, I think other than the Rumble, there's only a couple of times where they've defended it on the pay-per-view. I just think the New Day will win because it seems like they have more of a story, but it really could go either way. This feels like a little bit of an uneventful match. The next match is LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu for the United States Championship, and I think Jacob Fatu will be the new United States Champion. This one just makes sense to me because it is quite ironic that that they're fighting for the mid-card title, because if you saw the original Bloodline, they kind of broke up and fought over the World Heavyweight Champion, or the WWE Championship when Roman was champion. And now I think that this is going to cause them to break up and fight over the US Championship, because this is a mid-card Bloodline with Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu and Tangaloa and Tama Tonga. And it just sucks because it felt like LA Knight about a year ago, his popularity was at its peak, maybe even 2 years ago, and it was just a little bit too late when they put the championship belt on him. And Jacob Fatu, he's definitely a rising star in the company, and this is just step one on him climbing the ladder towards the top. And so I think this will be an excellent start to his maybe long United States title reign, and probably break up with the Bloodline. Like, I can see him versus Solo Sikoa at the next pay-per-view, and it will be interesting how that goes, because right now Solo's not booked on the show. He might face Randy Orton, but Randy Orton might also face Nick Aldis, and so we don't know exactly how it's going to be. And that was also an interesting one, who's going to be Randy Orton's opponent, because I fully understand Kevin Owens. If you can't take bumps, you got to be safe, and safety is the most important thing. But I thought it would have been kind of cool if, since Kevin Owens is going to be out like at least a year, maybe even 2 years, if Randy Orton punted him and showed that's the power of the punt, that it got Kevin Owens out for 2 years. But anyways, I think Jacob Fatu will be the new United States champion. The next match is Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, and I think El Grande Americano will win. And it is interesting because obviously it is Chad Gable under the mask, but I think this would be really cool if they did a big twist. So I cannot say his name on YouTube because YouTube will take down this video. But think of a TNA wrestler. His name begins with the S word. He's also known as Manic. Google Manic. But he was a TNA wrestler under a mask. Came from the video game. Again, I can't say his name, but he was played by Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, Akira Rajin, Kazuchika Okada, Austin Aries, TJ Perkins, Jonathan Gresham, Caleb Conley, Zachary Wentz, and Crazy Steve. So he was played by all these guys, and obviously it was a little bit easier then because he had a mask and a bodysuit, whereas this one is clearly Chad Gable's body. But I think that'd be an excellent twist if they find someone that looks similar to Chad Gable, and it's actually not Chad Gable wrestling under the El Grande Americano, where they say, or Rey Mysterio unmasks him in this match, and it's like, everyone's like, look, it's not Chad Gable. I told you it's not Chad Gable, it's someone else. I think that'd just be a cool and excellent twist that WWE can pull. Again, it's a little bit harder because we know what his body looks like, so it has to be someone of a similar body type to Chad Gable, but I just think that'd be a cool and fun twist. So I am going to pick El Grande Americano in this match. But also, how does this match make it? This feels like more of a SmackDown match, and right now the Women's Intercontinental Championship will not be defended. we don't know if it will or not, but right now it seems like the women's U.S. title won't be defended. And we don't know, but it seems like the SmackDown titles will not be defended as of right now. And this match makes it on the card. I just feel like all the titles should be defended at WrestleMania. So anyways, I think El Grande Americano will win. The next match is Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. I think the winner will be CM Punk. So this would be kind of interesting because I always thought the big twist of this match was going to be Paul Heyman would turn on Roman Reigns and join CM Punk and cost Roman the match and help Punk win. But since they already revealed that twist on Raw the other day, who knows what's going to be. I still think it makes sense for CM Punk to win because let's look at the three. So clearly, whoever wins this match is setting up for a main event match in the next pay-per-view. I'm going to eliminate Roman. I don't think he can win because he's going to be gone for the next 4 months. And I think that's too long of a period of time to capitalize off of this match. And also, I don't think anybody's really interested in seeing another Roman Reigns title run where he, goes 4 months without defending the title. So I'm eliminating Roman from winning this. So Punk versus Seth, that's going to be interesting who wins. I do think it will be Punk just because we've shown he clearly wants to be in the title scene. And if, I understand that John Cena's match will go on after this, but it feels like if John Cena wins, it'll 100% be Punk winning as well because that'll set up the two of them for the next pay-per-view. But it's interesting because there's no real heels on Raw. You got Gunther, who's a heel, but also he gets cheered because everyone loves Gunther. And other than that, it feels like you don't really have a lot of great heels. Whereas Seth Rollins could make a great heel if potentially Paul Heyman teams up with him and turns on both Punk and Roman. But overall, I think it will be Punk because Seth Rollins, right now, it just feels like he's not in the main event title picture like the others are. And Roman, again, he's going to take 4 months off after this, so it makes sense CM Punk will be in the main event picture at the next pay-per-view and win this. The next match is Io Sky versus Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. I think Bianca Belair will win. This is an interesting one. Io Sky, I do think she's the best women's wrestler on the roster. I'm a huge Io Sky fan, but it seems like she was kind of randomly added to this match. I don't really understand why. It feels like this more should have been Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair for the title. And it feels like Io's just there to take the pin. I think Bianca will win, and it's going to set up a match between Bianca and Jade at the next pay-per-view. And again, it really just... Io Sky feels like she was kind of randomly added. Rhea Ripley, when she won the title, it felt like she really hasn't done a lot with it. And Bianca obviously won at the Chamber. So, again, I think Bianca Belair will be winning. The next match, which I think this possibly has the opportunity to be the best match of WrestleMania, is AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. So, nothing on the line. Logan Paul will take a few months off after this. AJ Styles might take a month off after this. So, I think AJ Styles will win. Both these guys are really great wrestlers, and this one is one of the matches I'm most excited for because I do think it has the potential to be one of the best matches, if not the best match on the show, because in terms of work rate and talent involved, these two are really, really great. Again, I think AJ Styles will win because he's more likely to show up sooner, and so using this win to catapult him to something else. Whereas Logan Paul, again, he's going to be gone for another couple of months, so I don't think this will mean anything too significant if Logan Paul wins. So overall, I'm picking AJ Styles. The next match is Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria for the Women's Tag Team Championship. I think Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez will win. This one was kind of weird to me because I don't really understand why Bayley and Lyra Valkyria are fighting for the Tag Championship. The Intercontinental Championship is clearly a much more important and prestigious title. It kind of reminds me of when John Cena and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23, I think it was the one in Detroit, where they battled for the WWE Championship while being tag champs. But the WWE Championship was clearly more important than the tag championships. And it's like this, where it really felt like if they're going to do it this way, it should be Bayley and Lyra against each other for the Intercontinental Championship, as opposed to just not having the Intercontinental Championship together, or defended. because the women's tag team division feels a little bit like a mess. There's no real actual tag teams, and it feels like whenever there's a title defense, it's like, oh, let's just throw two random women together, and then they're now a tag team. And so, again, this just doesn't make sense. I think they'll probably implode Bayley and Lyra, and there'll be Bayley and Lyra at the next pay-per-view for the Intercontinental Championship. This one just doesn't make sense to me. I feel like it really, the Intercontinental Championship should at least be defended over the Women's Tag Team Championships. So I think Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez will retain. And honestly, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, they've been a pretty good tag team, pretty entertaining. Liv Morgan's great. And so I think their title reign should and will continue. The next match is Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship. I think Dominic Mysterio will win. It feels like he's kind of suffering the LA Knight treatment, where LA Knight was super, super hot, and then all of a sudden, once his fan reactions died down a little bit, that's when they put the U.S. title on him. That feels like Dom, where he was super, super hot, one of the biggest heels in the company, and now that his momentum's kind of killed off a little bit, they'll put the Intercontinental Championship on him. And the one thing that needs to happen is the Judgment Day needs to end. Honestly, it should have ended like a year and a half ago. They've outlived their welcome. The group makes no sense. The group doesn't do anything anymore. So Dom needs to turn on Finn and just end it. It makes no sense. Again, the group has just really run its course and outlived its welcome. Braun Breaker, this will help propel him to the main event by losing the title. And then it kind of just sucks for Penta because I just don't think he has a real shot at winning. But Dom finally just needs to do something because he has so much potential, and a lot of people really like him as that like sneaky villain. And finally putting a title on him, I think, would be really good. And I know that he won the North American title, but that doesn't really count. And so I think Dom is finally going to get his long-awaited singles push that is needed. Again, he needs to ditch the Judgment Day, leave them behind him, because they had a good run, and then ever since then they've been doing nothing. Again, they should have disbanded a year and a half ago, but this is them finally getting disbanded. So I think Dominic Mysterio will win. The next match is Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre in a street fight. I also think this has a shot at being a really good match just because it feels like both these guys have something to prove, because neither of them are in a great... Because both of them were in world title matches last year, where Damian Priest was in the tag team title match and then cashed in on Drew, and then Drew was in the world title match. And now they're kind of just fighting each other for nothing much. No stakes, no nothing. And I think whenever you have wrestlers that really have something to prove, that's when you have the best work out of them. And so I kind of looked at this as it could go two ways. Do you reward Drew McIntyre for having probably being the best wrestler of the year in 2024, so saying, hey, you had such a great year last year, we're going to reward you with a big win at WrestleMania? Or do you give it to Damian Priest, who feels like he's not at that main event level, and saying, hey, if he beats Drew McIntyre, he can kind of take that momentum and rise above and become a main eventer? I am going to go with Drew because I think Drew McIntyre is more likely to be in the world title picture as opposed to Damian Priest. But this will be a very exciting match. And again, both of them have something really to prove. And I think Drew McIntyre can use this momentum to help push him towards the main event scene and maybe get the title back. The final match of WrestleMania will be Cody Rhodes versus John Cena for the WWE Championship. I do think Cody Rhodes will retain this championship for a couple of reasons. So the biggest one to me is that it is John Cena's 17th world title win. So this is going to be the big emotional title win where he finally breaks Ric Flair's record. And the pictures are going to go everywhere. The video is going to go everywhere. And so when this huge historic moment happens, I don't think they want him to be a heel. I think they want him to be a face for when this happens. It reminds me of a little bit of when the first ever women's Money in the Bank match, where you had James Ellsworth grab the briefcase and win it for Carmella. I think in almost any other year, people would kind of be behind it, like, hey, look, it's a heel using heel tactics, having someone else help them win the match. But in that case, it was like everyone hated it because you're having the historic first women's Money in the Bank match, and of course the winner needs to cheat. They couldn't win it on its own. So I think because this is such a historic moment, if John Cena wins the title, then he needs to be a babyface for this. So that's reason number one. Reason number two is, where do we go from here if he wins? Because he kind of hinted at in his promo saying, okay, I'm going to be the last world champion. I'm going to take this title and retire with it. So to me, that kind of sounds like the minute he wins it, he's retiring. So if he wins it at WrestleMania, we still have till December. So what's the point of him defending the title if he wants to retire with the title? We still have a long ways to go before he actually retires. So it doesn't really make sense for storyline purposes that John Cena wins it at this moment. And also, what would be the impetus of him turning babyface? Because we know he's going to retire as a babyface. He can't retire as a heel. And it feels like if he kind of wins this, it's a little bit too early on. Where I think we've obviously learned his main goal of his retirement is to win the WWE Championship. Well, we have now until December. So if he reaches that goal now, then he doesn't really have a goal for the remainder of his retirement run. He's just kind of there. So I think that's another reason why John Cena should lose. And this is kind of an add-on. I hope The Rock doesn't get involved and The Rock really doesn't play a part, because he kind of doesn't really have a purpose in this story anymore, because they've kind of transitioned off of him. And what I mean by that is, so at Elimination Chamber, here was the story. John Cena decided to team up with The Rock. He sold his soul to The Rock for some reason. We don't know what it is, but he sold his soul to The Rock and beat up Cody Rhodes. That was story Elimination Chamber. Then, on the 3 weeks following that, we've had 3 promos by John Cena where he said he never mentioned The Rock, and he said the reason why he turned heel is because there was basically a 10-year period where he was on top, and for almost all of that, fans booed him. And that's why he turned heel, because he couldn't take the fans booing him for that 10-year period. Again, I made a video about how it didn't really make too much sense because of how, the 10 years after that, though, fans universally cheered him. But anyways, so there was only one mention of The Rock since that point, and that was Cody Rhodes asking John Cena, why did you turn heel? And then John Cena never asked, or why did you join The Rock? And then John Cena never answered the question. So to me, The Rock has no involvement in the story whatsoever. It really makes no sense for him to get involved. And since it's such a historic win, I don't think you want the little cop-out of John Cena cheating to win, and you don't want John Cena being the heel to win, because, again, what's the point of his run from now till December if he wins the title now? So those are my predictions for WrestleMania 41. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you like this type of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button like Adochi Money, and I'll see you on the next one.